Three, two, one. Hi, everyone. Welcome to a new edition of the Macks. And today, that song, Return of the Macks, has a really genuine meaning because we have been missing for like 2 or 3 weeks now, and we're back. It's been a while, but we had a lot of exciting stuff going on in our personal lives and our professional lives. But Jack here is the most important one because he's the one with the big life change that happened over the weekend. So, Jack, I want to start with you. Technically, you got married a long time ago, and because of coronavirus, you got to do it again. Second time's the charm. How was your wedding celebration?
I can say that I am never using the joke. I love her so much that I got married to her twice in a pandemic ever again because I used it like 15 times with family members this past week, and it was just it's horrible, and I'm over it. But yes, it was a fantastic time. Our very own Maggie Davis was in attendance. She was fantastic. We were all over the dance floor. It was a great time. It was
I
great
had a
seeing
great time.
it was great seeing family and friends. I got to catch up with old college friends and old high school buddies and all that. So yeah, it was a great time. We wish it happened under better circumstances. Back when we scheduled it, we postponed it from April originally to September, assuming that things would be cleared up by now, but they obviously have not. So we were kind of feeling a little guilty about having a party during in the middle of a pandemic, but the total group crowd number kind of got lower a little bit with everybody canceling. So it ended up, people were able to spread out a little bit, have a good time. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. And I'm very glad that you came.
I had a lot of fun. Thank you for letting me come. It was fun. And like you said, we did tear it up on the dance floor. It was a good night, and I definitely felt it the next morning because I haven't been out and social in 6 months. Definitely haven't worn heels in 6 months. Haven't really danced in 6 months. And the next morning I was like, why are my legs sore? I was like, this is embarrassing.
Throughout the whole day, I was very hungover. I felt absolutely horrible all day Saturday. But the most concerning thing was I couldn't feel my left thigh. Like, when your leg falls asleep, when your leg falls asleep, it's like, you start getting that little like tingly nerve feeling. I felt that the entire day. I didn't get feeling back in my leg until like I was going to bed on Saturday. I had a good time on the dance floor. Let's just put it like that. I tend to be a dancing
The
fool
receipts are on
in
Twitter. Our friend Travis
situations.
Graff tweeted a short video, and that's just a little
That
taste of the magic we got.
that was like the most PG version of the night. Let's just be real. I was twerking on pretty much everybody and everything. So yeah, it was fun, but yeah.
Will there be a third wedding?
You know what? At this point, why not? Let's just keep running the table back and
need the post-COVID wedding.
Yeah, that would be even better. That way we could have everybody.
I was thinking about that. I was like, you all should do like a 1-year wedding and just make it an annual thing. Bring it back next year after they shoot up all of us with vaccines. We'll do it again.
Yeah, why not have like, instead of, the way we did it was way too expensive. We are never doing that again. But in terms of like renting a tent and going out in the middle of a field somewhere and just playing music and just having food, and like, you could probably do it pretty cheap and still have as many people as we humanly want, have like 200, 250, have a big old banger at some point in the future. So yeah, we might wait on that just a little bit because we're about weddinged out right now. Love her to death, but I think 2 is good for right now. But I will be excited to marry her a third time whenever that time does come.
That's cute. I have a feeling, though, the third wedding might be BYOB based on the bar tab.
We went over quite a bit. Like he came over to me and was like, hey, we've reached our limit. Do we want to keep going? Blah, blah, blah. And I was like, we still have an hour and a half left. How are we already at that point? We did a number on the bar. We did a number.
We did. Zach, we missed you.
No, you didn't.
We did. Zach, you would have had a great time, but
at any point in the whole wedding were you like, you know what? I miss Zach.
Yes, absolutely. We got the Macks picture. It was only a KSR picture because we didn't have the other Mac edition. We got a picture with Travis Graff, so we got a little like UK media picture. You were the one missing from that picture, so that's we'll get one on the next one. We got you.
Yeah, wedding number post-COVID.
Cool. Post-COVID wedding number 3. We got this.
Do you think we're going to start referring to our lives now as pre and post-COVID?
Ooh, yeah.
Is that going to be on
the do because
except it would be both PC pre-post, so we'd have to come up with a new
AC after COVID.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
PC and AC before COVID, after COVID.
I think we might, because I think there are some things that like will not go back. Like I don't know when I'm ever going to see a buffet line again. I don't know when people are ever going to like.
Don't know if we ever need it
at church again. Like I just don't think some of those things are going to come back. So that will be like, remember before COVID when we all drank out of the same wine glass at church?
Remember DC when we did this and that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Weird times. Do you all want to talk about some sports maybe? If we
I've been out of the loop for quite a bit with all the, family in town and all that stuff. So this is going to be a good, like, knock the rust off, get back in the groove of things. So yeah, let's talk about sports. I am ready.
All right. You just sit there and Zach and I can just fill you in on everything you've missed.
Okay. And I'll have my own little takes on whatever nonsense you guys bring about.
I'm sure you will.
Cool. Let's do it.
Don't be nervous.
Let's do it.
I think
all right, I promise not to be nervous. At least down the road. It'll take a second to knock the rust off, but I got this.
All right. Well, I think we should start with some news that just came out today. We're recording this on Tuesday morning. And I think it was John Rothstein was the one who broke the news this morning that college basketball is looking at moving several basketball tournaments down to Orlando into a bubble, one of which is the Champions Classic, which of course means that the Kentucky Wildcats could be heading down to the Orlando bubble to play in that game that is usually in New York. What did you all think about that? I was not really surprised. Obviously I think it makes sense to sort of use the same bubble format that we've seen work so well up until this point. And I'm excited that, that they're thinking ahead and working ahead on how they're going to do this and where they're going to do this.
Yeah, I think it was becoming necessary to do stuff like this. The best part will be that apparently they want to do a round robin style. So that means Kentucky would play Kansas, Michigan State, and Duke all in a span of probably like a week or something down there in the bubble. So that would be pretty awesome. But it's also, I feel like they're also kind of doing it as a, can this work if we do it on a larger scale for the actual NCAA tournament? So I think it's more of just like a trial run to see if things work, because 4 teams it'll be a little bit easier because the NBA is doing it did it with 22. So it'll be more of a trial run thing, but I'm excited to see it, especially if we get to play those 3 teams, because that'll be a lineup that UK, most teams never get to go through.
Yeah, same. And I think especially at the beginning of the season we were all so sad when basketball, got sort of taken away from us, especially with it being the SEC tournament and March Madness. I mean, that's the best time of year for college basketball. And we obviously all lost that last year or this year or whatever you want to call it. And so I think sometime in 2020, I think to start off a new basketball season with such an exciting lineup, especially if they end up doing the round robin, it's almost like a little mini March Madness, just to be like, ooh, this is what we were missing. This is what we have back. And those would be hard games for Kentucky.
Yeah. I mean, Calipari says every single year he complains about of course we start off the year against Duke. Oh, of course we're going to start off the year against Michigan State. I don't even get time to ease this roster in. We're getting thrown in with the Sharks immediately. With this time, he's going to have 3 of those examples of his teams tend to, start off a little bit slow and then get hot toward the end of the year. He has no way out of that. He's going to have to just kind of make this work. But one thing that I was kind of interested in the fact that this is already like getting scheduled, like the news is breaking, like we are going to an Orlando bubble. I kind of thought that we were headed toward a conference only, maybe play more conference games, but have it be a longer single bubble versus a bunch of individual ones. But because this is already getting scheduled, it's kind of apparent that this is going to be a multi-bubble season that things might get stretched out a little bit more. But, you know, if you think about it, if we get 3 games in the first bubble, we, you know, take a week off or whatever, and then, you know, head to another bubble, play 5, 6 games or whatever, those games are going to add up really quickly, and you're not going to get as many bubbles as we really think at the end of it. And I think by the end of it, we will get a conference only bubble. I'm sure we'll find a Nashville or an Atlanta, or, as we already talked about, Lexington would be a fantastic addition. But yeah, I think we are headed in the right direction in terms of like actually coming up with a blueprint of how to go about this process. And we're going to be the guinea pigs. All eyes are going to be on Kentucky basketball to open up the season, and that's exactly what John Calipari likes. So
I think
win for us.
Bubble to bubble could actually be, you know, that might be the way to do it, especially kind of like these will be the trial run bubbles to see how it works, and then kind of going bubble from there, and like go conference only bubble, however they want to do it. You know, that'll, all the people that were complaining about us scheduling, you know, Richmond and whoever else.
Yeah.
These bubbles are going to create the opportunity for us to get the exact teams we want, the best teams we want, and then eventually, you know, we can go into the conference only bubble, and obviously, you know, that'll be, you know, whoever will play in that, the SEC
I
team.
agree. And I think the sort of like smaller bubbles, like the more short-term bubbles jumping around a little bit, makes more sense for unpaid collegiate amateur athletes than one really long bubble saying, listen, you're going down to Orlando and you're not leaving for 6 months. That would be a really difficult sell, I think. And, you know, this makes more sense to me in terms of the NCAA saying, okay, like, we're going to make them quarantine for a week, then they'll go up here, play a couple games, and they can go back to campus for a couple weeks, they'll quarantine again. And that sort of makes more sense when you think about them as the collegiate athletes rather than, you know, what the NBA is able to do with players who are making millions of dollars and doing this as their full-time job.
Yeah. And that could cut it down, or if they do it that way, you know, let's say they have to take like a week or 2 off in between bubbles, you know, instead of UK playing, normally they only play what, like Tuesdays and Saturdays or whatever.
Saturdays, yeah.
So they could cut that, or go from 2 to maybe 3 games, maybe even 4 games in a week if you're only doing, you know, 2-week spans. So the season might stretch out a little bit longer, but they could probably still fit the exact amount of games in if they just kind of clump them all together more with more extended breaks in between the bubbles.
Plus, then if one team does have some sort of a breakout of cases and they have to leave a bubble, they're leaving one bubble, they're forfeiting a couple of games instead of, okay, we have this breakout, we all have to leave, we miss out on a ton of games in this one bubble, and, you know, you just miss more. So I think giving them the chance to leave a smaller short-term bubble and sort of recover and get everyone healthy again for a couple of weeks and then just jump in the next time there's a different bubble, I think that makes more sense too in terms of trying to manage all of the college basketball teams that are hoping to play this season. Would you all prefer, okay, hypothetically, if this were to be the case and Kentucky starts off the season, like we said, with that round robin of playing some really talented teams, and then maybe they get in a bubble with other really talented teams, and the conference is going to be pretty good this year too, I think. And so, you know, when you play that level of competition on a consistent basis, your record might reflect that. I mean, Kentucky plays those 3 teams at the beginning of the season. They could lose 2 of them. I don't think they'd go 0-3. They could lose. Would you rather the Cats play in an average schedule, just across the board, like some random popcorn states at the beginning and an average SEC conference, and, you know, maybe not have some talk of an undefeated season? Or would you rather see that high-level play from the very beginning, playing the Dukes of the world, playing, you know, going down to Atlanta, maybe doing a bubble like that with Georgia Tech and some others, you know, sort of, they're not Kentucky level programs, but they're also bigger than a lot of the teams we typically see Kentucky play at the beginning of the year, especially in the non-conference schedule. And then going to a conference bubble and playing an SEC schedule that is a little more difficult. So maybe you see better games, but Kentucky's record going into March is worse, and that could affect seeding potentially.
I think if we're having a Champions Classic the way if we get the 3 super high profile games initially, I think it kind of takes off the pressure of needing to have a massive, you know, with the SEC being as strong as it is and front loading the schedule with some of those, we can have some intermediate games in between to kind of counter that. And I don't think it's necessarily what I think. It's about what Calipari thinks. And Calipari has been very outspoken about making sure that the mid-majors, the bye games that they need to, keep their athletic departments afloat and keep from drowning in this very difficult time, that he wants to make sure that those teams get also included in all of this. And I think he even mentioned like having Detroit Mercy in a bubble and, some others, obviously there's the Brad connection there, but schools like that, to include them in this round robin, bigger, but not like conference only bubble, make it more than just 3 or 4 games, make it kind of a 6, 7, 8 game type thing where we get a fair mix. I think the perfect situation is, especially from like a location standpoint, there's no reason that we can't have a bubble that includes Louisville, WKU, EKU, Moorhead, Murray, Detroit. We could fit however many teams in this small bubble in a 3-hour driving vicinity, 4-hour driving vicinity, and go forward with a pretty strong balanced schedule in terms of guys that need, teams that are looking to get their butts kicked for money purposes, and schools like Louisville that are looking to have an actual competitive game, rivalry matchup of that sort, and keep it safe. And I think that's what it boils down to at the very end of the day. We got to keep playing basketball, keep making sure that this season goes on. And that might be the answer for that. We get the Champions Classic to start the season, and then have a middle part where we get that mix of Louisville's and Westerns of the world, and then end it with a conference only bubble. That could be the answer.
So I think if I'm no Calipari, I think that he would prefer ultimately he would prefer to do is play fewer games against the best competition. And I think the way that these bubbles are going to work and be set up is the bubbles are still going to be designed to make money. And to be fair, Kentucky isn't going to have the same amount of money that they normally had to shell out to, a school like Murray to come up and get their ass kicked. Those schools like Murray, Moorhead, those teams are not, or Eastern, those teams are not going to drive revenue for a bubble. So a bubble is only going, if bubbles are the thing that's going to happen, they're going to be the best of the best. Like Detroit Mercy would be nice because, it'd be a Brad Calipari, but like no one wants to bring Detroit Mercy into a bubble when you've got 7 other really good teams or something like that. So ultimately the bubbles are still going to be about making money. And if you're doing a bubble, conference only bubbles can work because there's a lot of money in those conferences, but I don't see a small, I see like mini bubbles happening in between this Champions Classic and the SEC thing, but Calipari's going to do, I think he would prefer to play the fewer games against better teams. And I think that's what the money is going to ultimately force him into doing. Because like I said, they're not going to bring in weaker teams for a nationally televised bubble, especially right now. And a school like UK is not going to be as willing to give money to those lesser schools to come and get their ass kicked.
I hadn't thought about the money aspect of it. I really hadn't thought about it from that angle, because you can sell Kentucky Duke.
Yeah.
I don't know if you are going to sell a Kentucky Moorhead bubble.
And these bubbles cost a lot of money. Like the NBA spent a lot of money on theirs, and obviously they're not going to be as long and probably as sophisticated. But in the end, the bubbles are only going to happen so money can be made. Let's not pretend that the NCAA is doing this because they love watching these kids play basketball. That's not really
right.
Going to happen.
But my only rebuttal to that is, okay, then let's make it like a Maui Invitational or a small mid-season tournaments type style where UK plays the lower end team, the Detroit Mercy, in round 1 to set up a Kentucky versus Louisville rivalry championship matchup. Or, it doesn't have to be Louisville. I'm just thinking locationally. Right. You could create if we do small or medium-sized tournaments mid-year that we see, that UK just hasn't been participating with. We see them throughout college basketball. We just haven't been active participants. That would be okay, they're participating in this bubble event, but they're not really, they're coming in to just get their butts kicked game 1 to get their buy-in money, their $100,000, $200,000 or whatever, and then let the big boys play to close out the tournament. It could be both at the same time, which that is what, Cal has said, we want to make sure we find a way to get the money to those schools that they need it, or else in next year we're not going to be able to have those early easy wins. We're going to have to create more difficult schedules for us in the future, which doesn't make anything easier for Cal. So this is a long play, making sure that those athletic departments can stay afloat for right this second, so we can have more.
As much as I love Calipari, he doesn't have the final say in that.
And that's true. That's totally true.
University, they're cutting staff, they're doing furloughs. Like, they're not in a good place right now to be just sending money out. And I mean, love those schools, Moorhead, Murray, and Detroit Mercy, but it's going to be just so far out of his hands, even for Calipari at that point. So, I mean, I like the idea of doing like one of those little intermediate tournament style bubbles where you can bring a school like that in. It's just, I don't know the financial aspects of it or whatever, but it's going to have to be able, everyone's going to have to be able to justify bringing someone like Detroit Mercy into a bubble where you're trying to get as much ratings as possible, where ratings for all sports right now are kind of oddly down. So that could all change again by the time, November comes around, because that's usually when people are into their sports anyways. So there's a lot of those aspects.
I will say this is the time of the year I'm always mad we're not in the Maui Invitational. This is the time of year, every single year I'm like, why is Kentucky not playing in this? And again, I mean,
all the time.
We've seen that that's potentially going to happen in a bubble. And again, I'm like, why is Kentucky not included in that? And I will say also, if we miss out on a Kentucky-Louisville football game and a Kentucky-Louisville basketball game, I'm going to be sad, because I need a little rivalry adrenaline in my bloodstream these days. That's
well, and that
working something
that
out.
part that part doesn't even make sense. I mean, for UK and Louisville to be 70 miles down the road from each other, if we are preaching safety and health and wanting to make sure that we do this, avoid airports and planes and hotel rooms, there is no excuse for us to not fit in a Louisville Kentucky game. There's just not. I mean, I get it.
A basketball game would be a lot easier than a football game.
In football, there's the conference only schedules and navigating the buyout clauses and all that stuff of dropping some of those non-conference games. It gets a lot more complicated in football, but basketball, you're there in an hour. You can get your game over with, go home. You never contact another human being. All the media is virtual.
Unless the ACC goes to a conference only bubble, which is something that we've seen. A few people say is a possibility. I think our own Matt Jones was one who put that out a few days ago. So I hope the ACC doesn't do that, because, like you said, it just doesn't make sense.
Well, if it was up to Kentucky and Louisville individually, I think they would do a basketball game, but I think it's going to come down to the conferences up top.
Right, and I think if it was up to Kentucky and Louisville, they would have also played a football game.
You're probably right.
Because it makes total sense for us to drive down to the swamp, an 11-hour drive, and put added factors and people to come in contact with and all that, versus a 70-mile drive down the highway. And
fires, don't forget about the swamp fire.
That's true.
That was true. Crazy.
Extra.
It was.
I think you're down there. And this Auburn team's got COVID and everything, so.
Yeah. Let's talk football. Football's coming up, where I think we did the math, like about 11 days away from the start of Kentucky's football season. Obviously, they start the season on the road against Auburn. How excited are you all for football? Even though it's coming late and it's going to be a pretty different experience for all of us, but I'm still pretty pumped up.
I'm getting there.
I'm there. I've been watching. So I watched that very first college football game of the year, that Central Arkansas versus. Man, now I can't even remember who. Austin Peay. Yeah, I watched that game from start to finish. Awesome experience. Loved it. I thought I would get more into the bigger, like Louisville Western. I watched that game from start to finish, but I thought the big slate of college football games this past Saturday would be like, awesome, sweet. And I was kind of into it, but NFL, that definitely got me. Like Sunday,
you also had a wedding. Like, you were also at your own wedding, so that could be too.
Yeah, that's also true. But yeah, I'm starting to get very, very excited about Kentucky football in particular. Listen to like the Mark Stoops show. Usually he like throws his, kicks his feet back and just, kind of shoots a breeze with Tom Leach the whole time. He was a news breaking fiend yesterday. He named a starting kicker with Matt Ruffalo, not Hulk. Talk about Joey Gatewood getting his waiver news this week. Said that Devontae Robinson's going to be missing some time. We just went down the list. It was boom, 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 news. It was fantastic. It was like I started getting that like, oh wow, it's game week feel. Like, oh, this is what we usually hear on a typical game week, and that's that. I kind of miss who's going to start, Gunnar Hoke or Terry Wilson? Who's going to,
I don't miss that. I do not miss the quarterback conversations every single preseason. I don't
love it. It gives us something to talk about every day. It gives us something to talk and write about every single day. Love it. I love controversy.
But we have nothing to add to that. The media we have nothing to add to that conversation because we're not in practices right now. We don't know. We have to wait for there to be a game before we can do that.
We need to talk about how Stoops has gotten some extra swagger the last 6 months.
I agree. The quarantine has made Mark Stoops pretty swaggy. I will say. We've always said swaggy Cal, and I think we're seeing a swaggy Stoops. I mean, we heard him on the KS radio show a couple weeks ago talking about sort of his team and the Black Lives Matter movement and what that means to him and to the team. And that was an awesome conversation. And then when we saw Jagger Burton's commitment, we saw him post that video of the
that was dope.
Which was amazing. And I hope we see that continue because I love it. I love the energy. It reminded me of when he, was crowd surfing and punched the ceiling. I was like, this is the Stoops that the players always see. And I'm glad that he's getting comfortable enough and just sort of confident enough to share that with the rest of us.
That's the word, is confidence. Is he knows that he finally has a team that's good enough where he can go out and he can just start talking and being himself. And because, the Florida or raise him on the roof thing, that was behind closed doors technically. So, now everything he's doing.
Thank God it wasn't though. Thank God we got a video of that.
Yeah. So he's been really open about everything, and he's buying into himself, and it's really cool to see actually, because it took like 8 years, but he's damn good at it now.
Well, if you think about it, imagine us in this scenario where a 10-game conference only schedule had happened in 2013, 2014,
you would be talking about going 0-10.
Yeah. It would be a nightmare. The way we talk about Arkansas and Vandy right now, that we would be the butt of those jokes at that time. And to think,
we'd be like, please put Vandy on our schedule.
to think that we have a 10-game conference only schedule, and we are still thinking like, is there a road to the SEC championship for us? Can we win? Okay, let's go down the schedule. Let's go win by week by week. Okay, this one. All right, give the Cats. Like, the fact that we're even having those conversations right now is just like, I never thought I'd see the day. Sometimes you get favorable schedules, like some of those 7-5, 7-6 teams that we got, like the Steven Johnson era. We got helped out with some favorable scheduling and some upsets and all that stuff. But right now, we could genuinely say that straight up we are better than a wide variety of SEC programs that we could never say in the past. We could say we're better than the Mississippi States of the world, South Carolina's, on par with Tennessee. Those type of middle of the pack programs, we are on that tier, if not above, right below the Florida and Georgia of the world. I mean, I've never seen that in my whole life.
They're in the golden age of their athletics right now. UK is. There's never been a time in history where UK has had a basketball and football coach that are not only just as good as they are in terms of coaches, but as outspoken, usually correct about what they have to say. So, and especially building young men from the ground up, essentially. So I can't think of it. The Bear Bryant, who was Rupp the coach when Bear Bryant was here. So that would be maybe your only other comparison, but at the same time, not even remotely close.
And typically you will never see egos like that be able to work together. I mean, that's sort of what we heard about Bear Bryant and Rupp, is that you can't have two big dogs like that. And I think when Cal came here, he was under the assumption that he would always be the guy. And, to some extent he still is. Kentucky's always going to be most closely linked to being a basketball school, no matter, what the record is or what the sort of past couple of seasons show. But I think we're in a situation now where you can say Mark Stoops is a big dog too. And I like that we're not hearing any tension between them. We don't hear, that it's upsetting Cal, that he's not the only king on campus anymore. I think we're in a really unique time where Kentucky has a chance to have two high-level pretty elite coaches who are really rising to this moment. I mean, with COVID and racial injustices and sort of everything that we've seen go on in the last 6 months, we've seen both of them really rise to this moment. We've seen them support their teams. We've seen them be outspoken. We've seen them, defend their guys and all that stuff. And I think that's really important. And I hope we get to see 2 really successful seasons. So when you look back at this year, you're like, look at all this stuff they did on the court and on the field. And then look at all this stuff they also did off the field and off the court, and what they did at home and what they did in the off season, and how they handled things on a personal level with their players, and how they basically reflected the program on the national stage and to the national media and all that stuff. And I think Kentucky's being represented really, really well right now. And I think in a couple of decades, if we're still recording episodes of the Macks, we might look back on this time period and be like, that's when Kentucky had it going for them.
What would 30, 40-year-old us look like recording the Macks in decades, as you refer to? I think that's an interesting.
I think we would look pretty hot. I don't know.
I'm interested to see what your background would be in a couple decades. Would it still be J.R. Smith, Zach? Or do you think your love for J.R. Smith is going to extend decades?
It knows no time.
It's kind of an eternity thing. I mean, you can only get so much legendary. I mean, legends don't just
I'll still
come
be
around.
Wearing an Ellen Calipari shirt.
That's true. That's true. And I'll probably still be in my mom's basement. Just kidding. No, this was a post-wedding. I'll be back to the good old faithful office and home very soon.
PC.
Tomorrow.
Okay, whatever you say.
PC after COVID.
Anywho, while we're talking about football, let's talk about the sort of atmosphere that we might see or that we're hoping to see. Sorry, Zach, were you trying to say something else?
Oh, go ahead.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
Let's talk about the atmosphere at Kroger Field, because obviously our first game is an away game, and then after that we're in Kroger Field for the first time with approximately 20,000 fans. What did you all think about sort of how all of that unfolded? Because I mean, we're pretty familiar with what happened, but we heard the reports that this is probably what was going to come out. We saw what Louisville got. We saw what all the other SEC schools were doing. And then it took about a week before Kentucky made an official announcement, and they still haven't actually distributed those tickets yet. So we don't have a lot to say in terms of like how that actually went and how season ticket holders ended up faring in this sort of weird timeline of how people are able to get tickets. But we do know that it's about 20% capacity, at least for the general stadium. But we'll see what 12,000 fans.
Have they sent them out yet? Have they already? They haven't already decided who gets the tickets, though, right?
No, so they've sort of put out the order of how it will work, but that hasn't actually happened yet. I believe that starts on the 21st. My mom has tickets, so I've kind of been keeping up with her, and the situation is weird because I understand they're in a tough situation and these are really hard decisions that they had to make. But what I don't understand is why, if you only have 2 season tickets, now you're allowed to buy up to 6. That doesn't make any sense to me. Because
why do you do that?
Because I don't know this for sure, but I'm assuming that they blocked off for social distancing reasons tickets in groups of 6. Mm-hmm. And you can choose to buy 2, you can choose to buy 4, you can choose to buy up to 6 tickets. And several schools have done that. But it's always been, you can buy in groups up to this if you had that many tickets previously.
Right.
So now when they're going down this list based on K points and, basically how much you donate to the school, if you make big donations and normally you only have 2 tickets and this year you buy 6, I don't know what the people who don't make donations and just buy the tickets, I don't know what's going to be left for those fans. And that's what I'm unhappy with.
Well, you said it right. I mean, it's going to be about the big donors, who can give them the most money, because if they're only going to do 12,000 fans roughly, and if they're going to social distance everyone, they're going to maximize the opportunity there.
Which is fine, or I don't understand why they're not offering tickets in groups of like 2s, 4s, 6s, or whatever. Like the amount of money you donate, I think should have been used in terms of where your tickets are going to be. Because if they let you pick, okay, how many tickets do you want? Which games do you want to go to? Where do you sit? Then it's like, if you don't donate money, you don't get to pick any of those things. And so then maybe you get no tickets, or you get tickets in a terrible sort of spot for one game that's not sold out yet. And I don't know, there's just a lot that doesn't really make sense to me when I look at all the sort of factors that, and again, I know they had to make a tough decision here, and people were going to be unhappy regardless. You can't please everyone in this situation, but it just, especially when I wrote that article about how other schools have done it in the SEC, that was about a week before UK made their announcement. I saw a lot of creative, good ideas there that UK didn't really utilize. I mean, some schools you could buy a 2-game pack, a 3-game pack, a 5-game pack. And so if you only wanted to go to the 2 best games, you could do that. And then there's more tickets available for people who wanted to go to other games. Or I don't know, there's just other ways that other schools have done it. And again, I know the timeline of everything was really weird. I just feel like, especially because Kentucky was one of the last programs to put out this sort of announcement, that they had plenty of time to look at how other schools were doing it and make the best decision using a combination of other ideas to create the best case scenario. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess the only thing that I'm unsure of is if they did just sell 2 per family or whatever it is, because I think they are probably valuing the fact that the group of 6 that you're more likely to be living with or in close quarters with the 6 people versus the 2. How would they, again, I'm not the one that sees how things are spread out or whatever. Is there a case to be made that 6 people horizontally can create more space? Like I'm trying to like map out the
right
6 feet, right. 6 feet. Does 2 create more space, or is it more beneficial to have rows of 6 versus 2? I don't know. I'd have to see it in front of me, but personally, I would have liked to see them get a little bit more creative, like you said, and
right.
and
I pulled this article. Alabama says fans who qualified for full season ticket packages could purchase up to 4 tickets. Fan who qualifies for partial package may purchase up to 2 tickets based on tied points, which are essentially K points. So that's a different way of doing it. Arkansas is the team that allowed you to either buy a 2-game pass, a 3-game pass, or a 5-game pass. Auburn is letting just students into the first game, which I knew UK would never do because that makes no money. But they have a point that students have missed out on every aspect of the college experience. And so to let them have this one game, to have this one thing that they're allowed to go to and enjoy, I think was really meaningful. And I don't know how it affects the game atmosphere. I don't know what sort of situation Kentucky's going to be walking into with a 11 a.m. Central Time kickoff against an Auburn stadium full of just students. But I mean, their capacity is still limited. I don't know if it's possible to get super rowdy in there with, I think Auburn has 20% capacity, which is about 17,000 fans. So we'll see. But that's, there's a lot of ways that you could handle this, and everyone's doing the best they can, but we'll see. We'll see how it works out.
I wonder how many students UK will let in.
I don't know. I haven't really seen anything about how they are dividing that up either. I saw that LSU is giving –
let them in, I don't think.
Do what?
They have not.
They haven't even officially said that they're going to let their students in. Yeah,
and even that, how do you decide? So I saw like Alabama is letting it be like 40% freshmen, 30%, like doing percents of how many of each students get to go. Obviously that's at Alabama where there's a bigger student body and probably more of them want to go. And then LSU is giving priority to students who have gotten COVID tests through the university, which wouldn't work at UK because allegedly everyone was supposed to get tested through the university. I don't know what LSU's deal with that was, but just in general, that's another situation where there are going to be a lot of options for UK to line it up. I feel like they'll end up doing some sort of lottery system like they do with basketball tickets, though.
Yeah,
lottery makes the most sense. It's probably what they'll do.
Yeah,
I wouldn't bet more than 500 tickets of the 12,000 go to the students, if that.
How many people are in the typical student section? Do we know
that? I don't know.
Probably in football, probably 1,000 or 2. I would imagine.
Yeah,
the whole section.
I wonder if they'll compare it, since they're using that 20% for general admission and the 20% technically for how many people are allowed in the suites. If they just say students get 20% of their normal allotment.
Well, they normally have what? 2? They have a lower section and an upper section. You got to imagine that.
And another upper section.
That's got to be at least over 2,000 kids.
Yeah.
So maybe they do 20% of that. Maybe they do.
Puts you at about 500.
I don't know. Yeah.
So
We'll see.
I would be shocked if UK lets more than 500. They should let a bunch in, honestly.
I wish they would, but they're not going to.
Yeah.
I also think it'll be interesting if they say like, oh, students are only allowed to come to like 1 or 2 games, and it's like, you're not making anyone else do that.
Yeah.
They're like, if you win this lottery, you're not winning another one. Well,
I mean, they were about to give all the priorities to the people in the suites until everyone bitched and complained about it. So
yeah, I wonder if that was sort of like a little soft leak to be like, how do people react to this? And everyone was like, ah, and they're like, okay, well, we're going to rechange that wording because the actual like logistics of how many people are going to be in those didn't really change that much. But the way they said, oh,
The wording.
And yeah, or they said up to 10 people instead of a 50% number. I mean, that could be the exact same number of people in the suites, but it sounds better because it sounds the same as what the general admission will be.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Either way, I'm excited for football. I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer over here. I'm really excited for football.
That's Zach's job.
Yeah. What?
I was kind of into football, I still haven't watched a single college game, I'll be honest with you. But Sunday I watched a bunch. Like there was the Nuggets game at 1. So I had that on, and I actually got to use my 3 TVs.
Finally.
Oh, yeah.
This game up, and then I had 2 NFL games on. Apparently I have NFL Red Zone right now for like a trial or something. So I've got that on.
Pretty cool.
And then after the Nuggets game was over, I watched a little bit of like the Bengals game. Got to see Joe Burrow look really good until the Bengals got bangled.
Don't talk about it.
That was fantastic.
But
good for them.
I didn't watch any of the games last night, unfortunately. But I was kind of into the NFL games, so we'll see if football. Maybe I'll try this weekend, see if I can get into some. Is there any big games this weekend? Anything I need
Yes.
There are big games.
Patriots, Seahawks.
No, college.
Oh,
college.
That.
Well, the ACC starts. I mean, game day is going to Louisville versus Miami.
That's gonna be a fun game. But
that'll be good. Virginia Tech got rescheduled because of COVID. The other SEC, it's Syracuse. Who does Syracuse play?
Already not interested.
Yeah, Syracuse. They still have a football team.
Well, it's ACC opening, or when the ACC teams start playing each other, other than like the Louisville Western game.
Is the SEC all open next weekend?
Next weekend, yep.
Every team does. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. No bye weeks until like week 4, I think, for teams.
Man, oh man, that doesn't even like sound right in my head. Like, oh, SEC starts next weekend. That's just like, wow, we're here. Like, holy crap, we're here.
Almost made it.
We made it. And some former UK guys, while we were talking about the NFL, we need to shout out Benny Snell, who crushed it in his Monday Night Football performance last night. I do not like the Steelers, but it's hard for me to root against Benny Snell.
He looked like good old Kentucky Benny Snell. It was a ground and pound. Let's just knock the crap out of the giant defensive line. It was beautiful, beautiful football. And if I'm being totally honest, he kind of sort of destroyed James Conner in terms of like just pure. I know James, he got hurt and he's questionable for this week, ankle injury. But that's kind of become a recurring theme. The reason why Benny has been, why he was able to get so many reps last year was due to injury and all that. So we're starting to see a theme, and I know it kind of took a while before Benny could kind of get his legs under him last year, but he came into training camp very in shape, looks good. He's faster, stronger, just developed as a football player in terms of field vision and, all that good stuff. And he dropped his first 100-yard game on his first game of his second season. Monday Night Football, all eyes on him. Everybody's talking about him. He got his
spinning mouthpiece is back.
Spinning mouthpiece is back.
Again, it breaks the internet. It breaks the internet every single time he does it. Everyone's like, oh my God, look at this. I'm like, he's been wearing that since he was at Kentucky. But it does look awesome, and it makes for a pretty good viral tweet. And, on this pod, we do not root for injuries. That's terrible. But I do hope he continues getting
It's a role thing. It's an opportunity thing. It's one of those we are given this opportunity. We're given this circumstance, and Benny Snell has capitalized. Not rooting for any injury whatsoever, but I am rooting for an opportunist, and that is the Benny Snell.
That is the definition of Benny Snell. I mean, if he has an opportunity, I have no doubt that he will take advantage of it. That's pretty.
I think he's.
Truth. You know, he's the second leading rusher in the NFL right now.
That's nuts.
He's to get that touchdown. He also fumbled.
Let's not talk about that part.
That's just another opportunity he took advantage of. Okay.
Good vibes only. It wasn't. The other team didn't recover. It wasn't.
By the way,
it wasn't a catastrophic fumble. We're good. Juju Smith-Schuster recovered it. We're good. No problem.
He was just trying to fill up the stat sheet. Just wanted to, make sure he had a number in every single box of the box score. And there you go. An opportunist. Yep.
True pro.
Next time we're going to get a pass completion.
Yes.
Versatility.
That'd be fun. Do we think we will see Lynn Bowden suit up for the Dolphins?
Oh, I thought I was going to be able to watch him this past weekend against my Patriots, but he didn't get a single. He was a healthy scratch. I mean,
he was
only got there.
He was inactive coming into Sunday. They'd already rolled.
He only got six days to learn the system, get settled in. I was not expecting him to play, but I was hoping to see him in action.
Snaps next week, maybe.
Who do they play next week?
I don't know, but
don't know. It's not going to be a game I will go out of my way to watch.
I will if he gets to play.
Rather than later.
I hope he gets to play.
Yeah.
Schedule. I don't know. We'll see. I'm a Texans fan now.
Why?
Because they have Randall Cobb. They have Lonnie Johnson. Where I can't root for the Steelers. I just can't do it. And so the Texans are a team that have a couple of UK guys on it that, are likable guys that I want to cheer for. Deshaun Watson, I think, is the likable guy. I like his style of play. I like that he just signed a massive contract, so he's not going anywhere for a while, so I don't start rooting for him, and then he goes to a different team, and I'm like, now what do I do? And, J.J. Watt, great guy. I like cheering for him. Love his wife. That's someone I want to cheer for.
But Bill O'Brien is trash. Makes horrible decisions, traded away his best player for peanuts. Randall Cobb is on the tail end.
Doesn't bode well for my team. But
Cobb's on the tail end of his career. Lonnie Johnson didn't even play a whole lot of reps in his season opener this year.
Okay.
That ain't the answer. That ain't the answer.
Well, I had to do something because I can't do another season just watching the Bengals.
Sorry. Are you all doing fantasy football this year?
I forgot. I've been dedicating my time to sports betting instead of actually putting up a fantasy football team. So I've been winning so much money. I've just been distracted by my other money making opportunities.
I sincerely doubt that.
Darn it.
Also, if you're wondering, the Dolphins play the Bills next week.
Yeah, I ain't watching that.
Yeah.
I'll have it the game cast on, watching to see if Lynn Bowden gets in the game, but I'm not going out of my way to watch that game.
That's why I watch the NFL is for my fantasy team.
Yeah. I think you're still allowed to make a team going into week 2. So I think I could still technically make a team right now if I wanted to. And
remember when KSR did that? Didn't we do that one year?
Yeah, I think so. And I wish we did because that would my competitive spirit wanting to kick both of y'all's asses would definitely spark my, pique my interest in doing this.
I'm 1-0.
Well, maybe we should make a Macks fantasy football team, and then I would very much move forward with it. We'll talk about it.
We'll talk about it off pod discussion.
Off pod. Cool.
Let's move into my favorite part of the episode. Pits and peaks and wrap stuff up. We've been talking for a long time, but like I said, we've been gone, and this is the return of the Macks. We had a lot to talk about, a lot to catch up with. Sports are back, a lot of news, but we're going to wrap things up in the way that we always do, which are pits and peaks. Does anyone want to go first?
Zach looks very interested.
Don't all speak at once.
You already had yours loaded, Jack, so go for it.
Well, I would obviously say that my peak of the week was marrying the Katie Pilgrim once again. That was a fantastic time, filled with a lot of fun, dancing, singing, drinking, eating, all that good stuff. We had a great time. So yeah, we've already talked a bunch about that to start the show. But the pit is definitely the week started on a pretty crappy note. Katie's grandfather actually passed away on Tuesday, leading up to the Friday celebration. So that obviously kind of put a big damper on things with everything going on. Where actually tomorrow is the funeral, visitation, all that stuff. So so that's sad. It was a very rough time. We needed the positivity and happiness of Friday night to kind of get our minds off things. But yeah, that's rough. So if you guys are thinking about it, thoughts and prayers to my wife. She could use it. But yeah, that would definitely be my pit.
Of course, thoughts and prayers to Katie. Love you, girl.
Thank you. To her.
Zach?
She would say thank you.
You go, Maggie. I'll go last.
Okay, I'll go. I've got one pit and two peaks. All right, so we'll start at the bottom. My pit is having to watch Carole Baskin on Dancing with the Stars last night.
Is that bad?
I mean, it was a little hilarious because, of course, she came in her all tiger print, her flower crown. Like, she was OG Carole Baskin. She has not changed. The spotlight has not changed her. I couldn't help thinking about the fact that we are all glorifying this woman who clearly, allegedly killed her husband. Let's not pretend like we don't all believe that. Quotes, whatever. Allegedly, don't sue me, Carole. But also, all I could think about was how much Joe would love to be on Dancing with the Stars. Joe Exotic, all he ever wanted to be was in the spotlight. And his nemesis, Carole Baskin, who ruined everything he was trying to do and accomplish and be, just swooped right in. Well, I guess he's still in jail. I don't really know, but she just swooped right in, took that spotlight. She's on Dancing with the Stars. I think she got like 3s and 4s. It was not a good performance. She danced high as a tiger. It was just a lot to take in. She closed out the night. She was the grand finale. She was roaring. Like, it was a lot for me to deal with. Okay, it was just a lot.
Can I interject? Was it not the most ballerific thing on the planet for Nelly to dance to his own song?
Is
that not
yeah
ballerific? If I ever got like rich and famous and like had a song and like we're presented an opportunity like that to just be like, you know how baller I am, I'm gonna dance in a dancing competition to my own song. Like, what was really funny is like my sister-in-law, we were kind of watching it. I was watching football, but watching it from afar.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I like that you jumped in there with no sort of context to be like, by the way, I watched Dancing with the Stars too.
No, I was 2 different rooms. They very outspokenly said, "Oh, it's Nelly." So I like myself some Nelly. So I turned my head and watched, and she said something along the lines of, "Wow, he really knows the rhythm to this song." And I was like,
"What song is it?"
Ride With Me. It's like, he hasn't been singing or dancing to this song for like 20 years now. So it was funny. It was good little like, oh, ha 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 moment. Really, really cool. So
I didn't watch Dancing with the Stars.
So that's your pit.
Yes, I didn't get to experience Carole Baskin. And Joe Exotic, he's already got the perfect name to be a star, a dancing star.
I know.
Maybe
He
more
set himself up for this.
Star, but a star nonetheless.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess that'll be my pit. I really don't have a pit, I guess. I mean, I do. My peak was all of the people that are around me don't have COVID anymore.
Yay!
That's really good. Yeah, my sister, roommate, his girlfriend. I can see my dog or the dog again. Not my dog. I'm the uncle. I can see the dog again. So I got that all happened 3 days ago. So it's been nice to have some company. I've been alone in my apartment the last 12 days.
Wow. It's like you didn't even test positive. You just still had to be alone.
Yeah, I got to go to work and everything, but
all the fun stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
So that was
fun.
Is getting back into normal.
Haha.
Normaler. Back from 2-3 weeks ago. Normal.
Yeah.
That's
good.
nice.
I'm glad you got some company and the dog again. I'm sure the dog missed you.
Maggie, we didn't get your two. We didn't get your 2 peaks.
Yeah, I got 2 peaks. One, of course, is the Pilgrim Wedding. It was great. I had an amazing time. It was super fun. My boyfriend and I both got to go, and we had an amazing time. So again, shout out to that. And my other peak is I got tickets to a live event. I listened to this podcast called Girls Gotta Eat. It's amazing. It's like these 2 women who live in New York City. It's like a dating relationship podcast, but they're comedians, and it's just hilarious, and I love them. And I've been listening to the show for about 2 years maybe, and they go on these live shows, and they sort of, they don't record a podcast. They do more like a stand-up comedy show together. But in 2 years, they've never come within like driving distance of me. And so I've never been able to go. And then, of course, they had scheduled to come to Ohio right before quarantine started. I was going to go up there. They hadn't put tickets out yet, so I hadn't gotten them. But I was so excited that they announced that they were coming, I think to like Columbus maybe. And then obviously COVID-19 happened. No one could go. They canceled the shows. And for whatever reason, now they are able to start their live shows again, obviously like outside, socially distanced, all that good stuff. But for whatever reason, of all the places that they could go for their like first big show back, they are coming to Ohio again. So coming to Cincinnati. Yeah, they're coming to Cincinnati. My friend and I got tickets, and we're going up there in like 2 weeks. And I'm really excited to go. It's on a Monday night, which is so random, but whatever. I'll treat myself to a fun Monday night in Cincinnati to see these amazing women with their amazing podcast and comedy show. And I'm really excited because tickets sold out in like less than a day. And for whatever reason, I was on Instagram that morning and saw their story and saw that they had released the tickets and grabbed a table just in time. So that was like that just happened yesterday. So that was a good day yesterday.
Big peak.
Super dope. Very cool. Very
So
cool.
I was so jealous when Jack, you got to go to the drive-in comedy show of.
I was gonna say that. It
such a
feels
unique, and this isn't like a drive-in, like it's in person, but just spread out. You come to your table with your party and whatever, but still, I'm just excited to get to go.
But when you go there, it will feel like you're going to an event, and that in itself, like just the build-up of, oh, hey, we got our show tonight, like that in itself will make you feel
having plans. I have this little calendar in my room. It's like a dry erase board, like, whiteboard kind of calendar that really has had nothing on it except for my KSR shifts for like months. And so when I got to write Girls Gotta Eat show on there yesterday, I was like, let's go. I put something on my calendar. I'm busy.
Pretty sweet. Pretty cool.
Yeah. So I'm hyped. So I think this was a good episode. I'm glad we got to come back and bring the Mac attacks back into action, and it was good to catch up with you all.
Good return.
Yep. Promise we'll have a normal schedule moving forward with.
Unless Jack decides to get married again.
That would definitely cause another temporary hiatus, but I think we're good for a while.
We're good for a while. Sounds good. Well, thank you all for listening. Thank you guys for talking with me for however long this was, and have a great rest of your day. Bye.